happen, let alone soon. But, just kind of wanted to talk about some ideas I had, even if they are wildly unrealistic. And hey, if this video goes over well, I'd like to talk about some other ideas I've had for games. Maybe we could even make this a series if I have enough topics to discuss.
Whoops. Well, I haven't uploaded in a while, which isn't a problem, Life's just been a bit crazy and my attention's been scattered all over the place, so... Also, I didn't just want to make another Mario video back-to-back, so my solution was to not make any videos at all. So, why am I making this video now? Well, for a while I've actually had this idea for a new Mario Party game floating around in my head, but I haven't been inspired to write anything about it until CJS001 made that video about discussing new Mario Party game ideas. So I started writing down ideas and creating art assets, but again, I lost interest in the project. But then Nintendo announced Super Mario Party Jamboree Anniversary Special Edition and Knuckles featuring new Funky Mode, so I figured now's as good a time as any to actually finish the project and make a video about it. Mighty algorithm, please let me trend surf. So here we are with Mario Party Film Festival. One day, Mario and friends, and Bowser, are recruited by a sketchy filmmaker to star in his movies. We'll call him Director Fillmore until someone can come up with a better name. Fillmore would function as this game's host character, with each board being contextualized as either a movie or TV show that he's filming. Mario Party games often have different themes, dreams, all the boards being based on real-world locations, the characters being shrunk down, etc. I figured different film genres could be a fun theme to explore. Now let's get one thing straight. I'm only going to be discussing the boards I came up with. I don't think it's crazy of me to say I didn't want to come up with 100 some minigames just for this video, nor did I come up with the items that could be bought in shops. Now, one concept I did come up with was that on every board, the characters would wear different costumes, just like in Mario Party 2. Now, unlike in 2, every character would actually be playing a different role in the film, so they'd get different costumes from each other instead of everyone wearing similar outfits. Now, because of this, I actually did decide to cut down on the roster because I wasn't going to be making roles and costumes for 20 different characters each time. There would only be 8 characters. Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, Yoshi, Donkey Kong, Wario, and Waluigi, though other characters could be relegated to cameo appearances. A fun detail I thought of is that when you start a round, instead of simply getting a flyover of the board, you'd get panning shots of it, combined with a couple shots of the 4-player characters and Bowser in whatever roles they're in for that show. Kinda like you're watching the show's opening credits. If you've ever played, a little bit of a weird comparison, Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, it's a lot like that actually. Now like I said, I actually created a lot of art assets in this video, and while I wouldn't say I'm a bad artist, I'm not exactly a professional, so don't expect it to be the highest of quality art. I'm also not a game design expert, so if these boards seem kind of poorly designed, don't take it too seriously. This was mostly just for fun. Well, I think that's about enough preamble. What do you say we head into the first board? Here we have our first board, Vicious Valley. A stab at the classic, and perhaps cliched, Dinosaur Island trope. This board sees Mario take the role of a gruff ship captain, with Luigi as his dopey first mate. Along with them on this ill-fated expedition were Peach, a biologist on a research tour, Daisy, a world-renowned explorer, and Waluigi, a hunter. I trust him. On the island, the crew encounter a handful of other characters as well, including Yoshi, a friendly dinosaur, Wario, a gluttonous caveman, Donkey Kong, a mountain-dwelling yeti, and last but not least, Bowser, a hostile prehistoric monster. Now it's the first board of the game, so it's fairly standard for a Mario Party board. You're just trying to reach whatever space the star spawned on. As you do, you'll explore the canyons, jungles, caves, mesas, and mountains of the island. Still though, be careful of those happening spaces. You never want to make dinosaurs angry, and you especially don't want to assume that a volcano will be content staying dormant in a setting like this. Next up, we've got Mystery Manor, a mystery thriller where we explore a mansion. Whose mansion? Well, Wario's, of course, as well as his pet, Yoshi. As it happens, a robbery just occurred. Not to worry, though. Detective Mario and his faithful companion, Dr. Luigi, are on the case. Everyone else, though, is a potential suspect. Was it the maid, Peach, the bodyguard, Donkey Kong, the butler, Waluigi? I trust him. The nosy journalist, Daisy? Or was it Bowser? Nah, he's a legitimate businessman, he wouldn't do it. Now that we're past the first board, we're going to start mixing up the methods for collecting stars. For Mystery Manor, it functioned a lot like Clockwork Castle from Party 6. The board is pretty much a big circle, and there's a character roaming around the stage that you need to catch in order to get the star, this time a bandit. Just like Clockwork Castle, there'd be these entryways that could take you to different parts of the board that you'd be able to shift around using a happening space. Another happening event would line up 3 NPCs in front of you, and you'd have to deduce which one of the 3 of them is a thief. Answering correctly would earn you some goodies. Or maybe there could be some kind of mechanic where you have to find clues hidden around the mansion that would lead you to the true culprit. Or maybe that sounds a bit too much like it'd be Clue Mario Party Edition. I guess it was only inevitable that in a game about making movies we'd have to come to a superhero film at some point. Introducing Superstar Rangers! This board would of course see the gang take the role of superheroes defending a city, ideally. The board I drew ended up looking like a public park rather than a full-blown city. Maybe that actually still works with the theme of a crappy overblown superhero team-up movie. As I said, everyone's wearing superhero costumes in this level, with Peach and Wario actually wearing ones from their own games. Admittedly, it was because I wouldn't have known what else to do with them, but come on, I wasn't gonna not use Wario Man here. Also, Daisy was supposed to be wearing, like, crystallized armor, like from Strikers, but it kinda just looks like he's wearing a crappy bootleg Mega Man cosplay instead. Also, yes, Waluigi is a parody of Batman. I trust him. I had a little bit of trouble coming up with a gimmick for this stage, so I've just kind of taken all my ideas and put them up here. You can tell me which one you think works best. The first idea for a level gimmick is that crime waves would pop up around the stage periodically, and if you got yourself over to them to stop them, you'd get a reward. Or perhaps you'd stop something bad from happening. This one is inspired by CJ's idea for the Star Fox board in his video. I also had this idea where once you got to the criminals you'd have to fight them, but for some reason, the only image that kept coming to my mind when I thought about that was Sonic Shuffle. Now, I haven't played that game, so I'm not going to be the one to make the call of whether it's good or bad, but based on what I've heard, it's pretty safe to assume that that's not the best idea. Now, the other main idea for a board gimmick I came up with, and the one I'd more likely go with, is the idea that Bowser, instead of just showing up when you land on one of his spaces, would actually be a consistent threat attacking the players. Perhaps he'd actually be able to move the Bowser spaces around the board and plant new ones. Maybe he would lay down traps in order to block off pathways or steal coins. Or maybe he'd just generally do something to mess with you every 5 turns, like the way he did it in Mario Party 7. Wow, okay, that drawing didn't come out great. Spaced Out would be a sci-fi series taking place on a large galactic spaceport, which could comedically resemble a more futuristic airport. It seems the roles our characters play on this board are a bit derivative of other sci-fi works. Mario plays the role of a human being from Earth who somehow ended up in outer space, and is completely out of his depth because of it. He's not the only human being kicking around these parts though, because Luigi and Wario are also here. But the two of them have lived in space far longer than Mario has, with Luigi being a sardonic working-class spaceship engineer, who sorta ends up taking Mario under his wing and showing him the ins and outs of how space travel works. Wario, on the other hand, is a deep space bounty hunter. Look, he's even got a robot partner. I guess Waluigi is one of those actors who wouldn't want a mask to cover up his face, so he had the mask made in the shape of his face. As for the rest of the crew, Daisy is a galactic alien heroine, Yoshi is a terrifying feral alien beast, DK is an ape who is part of a space program launch, and Peach is the spaceport's onboard AI flight attendant who takes the form of a hologram. But you'd best beware of Lord Bowser, an evil planet-conquering warlord. This board's gimmick would see the star spawn not on the space station itself, but on one of a handful of planets in the near vicinity of the space station. Since the station is basically a high-tech airport, you'd need to buy a flight ticket and take it to its appropriate spaceship terminal in order to get to one of those planets. Once you pay for a ticket, it'll actually take up an item slot, until you either use it or throw it away, like a skeleton key. It's essentially the reverse order of how getting a star in Mario Party works. You have to pay for it, then run to the space. Here we have a medieval high fantasy series about a land that, as the name would imply, is separated into 5 kingdoms. All of the kingdoms would have those mystical and slightly pretentious names. There'd be the Fungal Kingdom, with Queen Peach and her stalwart captain of guard, Mario. The Arborist Kingdom, with Daisy, followed by her loyal yet soft-spoken court wizard, Luigi. The Primal Kingdom, ruled by King Donkey Kong, also home to Yoshi, a wise sage of nature. Not that guy, not that guy, not that guy. It's not funny, get it out of my face. There's also the Lawless Badlands, where no one rules and chaos reigns supreme. Here you'll find Wario and Waluigi, one a traveling smuggler, the other a nefarious pirate captain. But most dangerous of all is the Shadow Kingdom, ruled by Bowser, the Lord of Darkness. Again, as for the board itself, it'd probably be most comparable to Bowser's Enchanted Inferno from Mario Party 7, separated into different sections that can be entered and exited through split pathways. Perhaps each kingdom could have its own feel by the different spaces you could find in it. For instance, the Badlands could have a lot of duel or chance time spaces, or the Shadow Kingdom could have more Bowser spaces than are usually in one place at a time. And perhaps there could even be some pathways, or maybe even happening spaces, that could take you into the center of the board, where you can then choose which kingdom you want to stop by. I'm re-recording this next roughly 2.5 minutes of video because Audacity decided it's going to record the audio I'm speaking through the computer's built-in speakers rather than my microphone. You know what, just keep that in the recording. Yeah, apparently Fillmore's even trying his hand at a TV game show. Naturally, all of our characters play contestants on the show, except for Bowser, who plays the sleazy game show host. A fun detail with this board could be that if you're playing a normal 4-player match, everyone's just wearing their own colors. But if you decide to play a 2v2 battle, the teams would wear matching colors. With this board being based off of a game show, the happening spaces could have a bigger role here than they typically do. Giving you coins, giving you items, taking coins or items, moving you to different spaces, doing something wacky like forcing you to answer trivia questions, the works. The main gimmick with this board could be that once you pay for a star, you don't actually get it until you complete some kind of specialized challenge. Can't complete the challenge? Well, tough luck, kid. You lose the coins and go on your way. Here we have our final board, and the one you'd have to play through the story mode in order to unlock. It takes place at a film awards show where the gang will be making their guest appearances, and because of that, they're not wearing costumes this time, but rather fancy suits and dresses. You're primarily going to be walking around backstage from the show. You'll start in your dressing rooms, go around some buildings, do a red carpet walk in front of crowds of adoring fans, and finally make your way up onto the stage in order to earn your star. Or, in this case, a film award. Now, maybe it's a little anticlimactic that the final board in the story mode is a linear stage, but whatever. These are just concepts anyway. Now, on the topic of story mode, I could actually see it working a lot like 7 or 8 story modes, where instead of just playing around a Mario Party, there's actually a specific win condition for each board. And this could even be justified in the story as each board having you film a specific scene. However, once you complete the final board in the story, you get a plot twist where it turns out director Fillmore was planning to take the profits for himself and run. Much to, well, everyone, but mostly Wario and Waluigi's dismay. Fillmore tries to make a break, but the characters stop him before he can do that, so he challenges them to a boss fight. And by them, I mean whichever character you specifically chose to play as in the story mode. Now, like I said, I'm not going super in-depth as to what the minigames would be like, but I figured I'd give you a general concept of how the final boss could go. Fillmore would be sitting high above you in one of those moving director box things, throwing props or parts of the other film sets in order to attack you, maybe even using the pyrotechnics if he gets desperate enough. All the while you're on ground floor trying to knock him off from his perch. Once the boss fight concludes, Fillmore finally concedes and decides to give everyone their fair share of the profits. Or, you know, maybe he could destroy the film footage in a whole, like, if I can't have it, no one can kind of way, and then he runs off, and the characters then decide they're going to make a movie the way they want to make it, and, like, it doesn't do, like, crazy numbers at the box office, but the characters are still happy with what they've made. Like, you know, positive message about how art isn't meant to be monetized, and, like, you know, it comes from the heart and stuff like that. There's no way in hell that Nintendo would ever have a message like that at the end of their games, but, like, you know, it would be nice if they did. I mentioned before that we were going to talk about important characters who aren't playable but still managed to make cameo appearances. Obviously, the simplest way for them to do that would have them appear on the board or appear in minigames, but I thought of something a bit different. What I envisioned is for each board to have a different character running the shops. Party 7 did something similar to this, with each board having either a Goomba, Koopa, or Shy Guy in different clothes as the shopkeeps. So Film Festival would do that, except instead of generic enemies, it'd be recurring characters from throughout the franchise. I alluded to it with Mad Dash, but they should totally bring back the 2v2 mode for parties. It's actually kind of crazy to me that they haven't had a true version of the 2v2 mode since the Hudson Soft era. I mean, heck, bring back classic 2v2 mode and then even like a Mario Party 7 version of it where you're stuck together the whole time. I've also heard people talk about how it'd be cool if the Mario Party games decided to do the same thing that the Jackbox games do, where you can connect multiple phones to the system in order to play with more than 4 players. I mean, I'm pretty sure you already are able to connect a smartphone to the Switch, mainly just for sending Switch screenshots to your phone. And by the time a new Mario Party game comes out, we're definitely going to be on Switch too, so who's to say there isn't going to be more compatibility for smartphones on that system? So imagine if we were able to connect our phones to Mario Party Film Festival and play a new version of 8-player mode. Yeah, bring that back from Party 7 too. Though it'd probably be a bit awkward if you had to play Mario Party with a digital gamepad. Well, hey, 8-player mode previously had its own set of mini-games based around a unique control system, so why not make the mini-games here based around using a smartphone touchscreen? Well, I think that's about everything I have for now. Huge thank you to anyone who managed to stick it out to the end of this video. Do you happen to have your own suggestions for game idea videos? Do you like the ideas I presented here? If you were making your own Mario Party game, what kind of ideas would you go with? Leave your comments, leave your likes, subscribe if you feel so inclined, ring the bell, double take 3 times, do a Tatsumaki input. There's too many buttons on YouTube's UI these days. Once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you sometime.